Interesting advice. Okay, Ted, now it's time to enter the busy world of 4x4s.
Yeah, this next car brings up a good point, where a vehicle is made.
Well, that's right. It gets more and more confusing with different name badges and so forth, different types of vehicles. It's getting puzzling even for us.
Well, many people will buy a car to support the local economy, but if you're one of those that buys a car because of its nationality, the Isuzu Rodeo breaks all the rules. The Rodeo is manufactured by a Japanese company, but built in the States in Lafayette, Indiana, at a joint Subaru-Isuzu plant. It can also be had with a General Motors-built V6 engine. Automobiles don't get much more international than that. It also comes in 3 trim levels, L, XS, and the top-of-the-line LS, which is what we got this time around. 2 engines are offered, an Isuzu-built 2.6-liter 4-cylinder and a GM 3.1-liter V6. The LS has the V6 as standard equipment, and it develops 120 horsepower at 4,400 RPM and 160 foot-pounds of torque at 2,800 RPM. Interestingly, the V6 and 4-cylinder have the same horsepower output. 2 transmissions are available, a 5-speed manual and a 4-speed automatic. The automatic has power and winter modes, which basically reduces torque to the rear driving wheels on the winter setting to eliminate wheel spin. It also comes with anti-locking rear brakes. Fuel consumption is unexceptional, 16 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 12 on the highway. The Rodeo LS starts at around $25,000, and it has GM's 3-year, 60,000 kilometer basic warranty. This is a good-looking wagon, but one thing I found on the Rodeo that kind of bugged me was the fact that you can't get into 4-wheel drive while the vehicle is in motion. It must be stopped, put into 4-wheel drive, high or low range, and then off you go. The Ford Explorer, for example, has a dash-mounted button for 4-wheel drive, and you can get into it at any speed. A much better idea. Although it's primarily intended to be a special-purpose utility vehicle, the Rodeo also makes an excellent family wagon. Cargo capacity is impressive, 35 cubic feet with the rear seat folded up and 75 with it down. Getting the rear seat down involves a fairly lengthy ritual of folding up the seat bottom and removing the headrest, but there is a lot of room back there. I also like the 2-piece rear tailgate and swing-out spare tire. This is a good place to locate the spare. Many similar vehicles have it slung under the rear frame. The biggest drawback to the Rodeo, however, is its lack of power. It's the least powerful vehicle in this class, and if it's loaded down with passengers and equipment, will struggle up steep back roads. On the other hand, it's surprisingly nimble in the city with a very short turning radius for a vehicle of this type. It's also comfortable, although these dash-mounted controls for the headlights and wipers are a little unusual, and I would like a little more headroom. And here's something you don't see very often: no draft windows. I also like the idea of a dash-mounted storage shelf on top of the dashboard. Things won't slide off whenever you go around a corner. And the LS also has tilt steering, another good idea. But to put it bluntly, the Rodeo is not really cut out for down and dirty off-roading. It's tickety-boo in the city, but in the bush, it's out of its depth. Isuzu also made the Trooper, which shares a drivetrain with the Rodeo and must be considered as a rival. The Ford Explorer, Chevy Blazer S10, Nissan Pathfinder, Toyota 4Runner, Jeep Cherokee, and even the Suzuki Sidekick are all competitors as well. So basically what we have here is a 4-wheel drive station wagon.
Well, that's right, and I think it's a great vehicle. I like this a lot, but I must dispute this with you. Those rear-mounted wheels are a real pain. To me, they are difficult. It's difficult to swing it out if the vehicle's parked on a hill. Women that I've spoken to find it very, very difficult to maneuver that thing out of the way. And as far as I'm concerned, the only place for a wheel is underneath the vehicle.
Not true. If you put a wheel under the vehicle, which is quite common, it'll get covered with grime and crap when you're driving on the road, and if it's undercoated, quite often the overspray will cover the tire. I've seen that many, many times. So maybe it's, out of the way, but it's harder to get at, and when you bring it out, you'll get absolutely filthy. I think given the construction of the vehicle and the way it's laid out, you really can't put it anywhere else.
Well, I don't agree, and I think it should be designed in from the first place. And for one thing, I'm not that keen on these big, fat, cosmetic tires, which in most cases is what they are. They may be okay in soft territory, but they're pretty useless on the highway, and they make a lot of noise,
But this is a 4-wheel drive vehicle, and when you do go in mud or something, those big, fat tires are going to save you. They're going to stop you from sinking up to your hubs.
Well, to some extent, but it's right. They should find out some way of getting that, having to move that thing, to the action of opening the hatch at the back is a real nuisance. You have to move a little clip thing, you have to another clip and swing it open, it latches open.
Didn't bother me at all.
Well, I'll tell you, if you get a woman or a small man who has that thing swing back on them on that hill, it could cause an injury.
If you put it inside the vehicle, you're going to lose space. If you put it in the engine compartment, it won't fit, and it's probably going to get damaged because of engine heat.
Well,
it's the best place
It's a matter of design. It's a matter of designing the vehicle in the first place with these in mind.
On the front,
on the roof is fine. It's okay by me, But how often do you use the spare
Okay,
tire.
before we get too preoccupied with that, I also think this thing should have four-wheel anti-locking brakes as opposed to rear anti-locking brakes. Why not? I mean, you know,
well,
they might as well
I
do
agree
that.
entirely. That's for sure, yeah. And I agree with you also on this business of not being able to get into four-wheel drive on the fly. I mean, what do you do when you hit some bad weather, you know, on a freeway? You know, you have to sort of slow down and stop in the traffic or something like that, if you're on a bridge or whatever. I mean, the whole point is that if this is a family vehicle, which is what it is, not a true mud plugger, that's what it should have.
I agree. Anyway, time to red light, green light. Red light, power a little on the meager side. Four-wheel drive system should be on the fly. It's not. Ingress and egress I found to be a little awkward. On the other hand, the styling's very attractive, good looking, lots of room back there, and it's quite good in the city. Driving dollar value, I only give it half a tank for the reasons that we've mentioned. I do like it, but it's not quite what
and that awful spare wheel. Stay with us, we'll be right back.